I think we're good. Good afternoon. So I just wanted to call the March 26, 2023 meeting of the Student Achievement Committee for the RSD 13 Board of Education at 4:33. If you're able to stand for the pledge, please rise.
Flag two. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for
for which it stands, one
one
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for
for
all.
all.
We have two flags.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to number 2, public comment. Do we have anyone on? I don't see any. All right, we'll just move on to approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So moved.
Amanda? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Number 4, approval of the minutes, March 2nd, 2023. Do we have any changes? I don't have any. Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the March 2nd, 2023.
So moved.
Amanda, second by
I'll second.
Lucy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, future meeting topics and meeting format. Do you want to take that one, Doug?
Yes, please. This was actually at the end of our last meeting, but if you recall, we spent so much time going over the literacy program that all we really picked were the dates. And so one of the things we need to determine, I guess, maybe just for Meg's benefit, is if we want the default meeting format to be this format or to be in person, knowing that the board committee chairs can change that as the topic would determine. But I think even beyond that, and maybe this agenda is a good example of it, we have a lot of topics on today's agenda, and some of them we put forward as a staff, and some of them the board committee chairs put forward. And we want to make sure that we're doing what, is what you guys want us to do, but also that you understand things that we think are important to put out there. So I guess, our next meeting is in May, and what we're going to ask you to consider for that meeting is kind of doing a deep dive at the high school level on a few topics, some which I think have been historically brought to this committee, at least in the time that I've been here. So one of the topics that they would cover would be kind of going over any new courses that are in the course catalog and kind of explaining that. It would probably be Deb. It might be Deb and Katie both. I don't know that. But even beyond the courses, there's a lot of stuff going on that they are going to be doing slightly differently next year, and they just wanted to get ahead of that with you all. And this may even speak to the agenda item about 23, 24 student center. A lot of it does fall into that category. So that's part of it. But another big one that we want to get in front of you has to do with the NEASC process. If you're not familiar with it, I learned a lot about it because I wasn't in New England before a couple of years ago. And there are some timelines and things that are coming up that we think it's important for this, either the whole board or the committee, to be informed on, and maybe even get your input on a few nuances and options that we are seriously considering right now. And I don't know that would take the whole meeting on May 24th, but it would probably take a large chunk of time. I also don't know how much time we want to spend on this committee. I think historically it tried to be like an hour. I know we far exceeded that last time, and we may today, but that would also determine the topic. So maybe before we talk about beyond May 24th, I guess I would ask if it would be okay for us to plan to bring the high school administration and review those topics next time.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm sure Jamie would be fine with that as well. So we're talking the new courses at the high school, some of the student-centered practices, and then NEASC for.
Correct. And maybe a few more things. I don't want to limit Deb and Katie in that, but when we mentioned to them about this opportunity, they thought that would be good. And and again, if they know they're going to do it, then they have a whole month to kind of plan for that and try to get all that information together in a format that works here. And I guess before we go to the future one, any strong opinions on Google Meet or in person as being the default?
I'm not sure about Jamie. I'm okay with it in the sense I don't want to not have people here that we need here in order to get through what we need to get through. So if it is more convenient, if we want to for now, knowing that we've got a lot coming up for next year between, changes of courses and looking at changes at different grade levels and the middle school. I'm okay with that. I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah, as long as we have the opportunity to be in person if we need to. Like if there's going to be a different type of a presentation. We've had
Yeah.
students come in the past and showcasing some of the different, I believe it was some kind of a math manipulatives that they had and stuff. So, I mean, if that's the case, then we'd have to be in person.
Yeah, and we could work those into a work session too if we needed to. But yeah, I echo what Lucy said. I'd like to be able to just make sure that we are saying for the near future that this is where, the space we want to be in to make sure we can maximize everyone getting here. But if we need to change it, that can happen.
I would agree with that. And to take it even a step further, I do believe historically and even moving forward, this even happened last meeting, we may be bringing folks in, teachers and others. And I not that they couldn't come in person, but I just think we'll get a better chance of getting their participation in this format, recognizing that, to Lucy's point, there's some things you can't do in this format that we would maybe ask to do in person, or maybe the board would ask to do in person.
Yeah, the only consideration I'd look at is if we're looking at approving textbooks, if there's certain things that we have to be thumbing through together, that we make that an in-person.
Yeah. Okay. And then with the second item, the future one, and again, we can look at this through a lot of different lenses, but when we saw the item down below for the student-centered thing for 23-24 fall, our kind of first reaction was we could use multiple meetings to fill that time because there's a lot going on, and a lot of it is school-based and a lot of it is kind of action team-based. And so one of our thoughts, I shouldn't say my thought, but the others thought it was okay for me to at least brainstorm with you guys on this, is we have these action teams. And I think one of the things that we're probably not updating you guys as well as we would like to is a more deeper dive on how some of those things are actually playing out. And so we could look at, especially going into the fall, each one of those action teams having a presentation at each student achievement meeting, maybe not the one on the business operations. I think you get more of that through the regular boarding meetings through Kim's report, the things to do with the buildings and the contracts and all of those things. And again, if you like this format or something like it, what it allows us to do is put all these on the calendar, kind of similar to what we've done with policy, where I know we haven't followed it exactly because we've had to sometimes slow down, but at least everybody is kind of on notice and well prepared, and it's a better likelihood of getting everyone there that we want there. And I would say this, as I did about the Google Meet, we have a lot of people on action teams who are not administrators, and we have administrators who are on them too. But we'd like to get some of those folks involved in these meetings, and I think we'll get a better chance of doing that if we're in a Google Meet and if we can tell them well in advance, this is the day that we're going to be doing competency-based, or this is the day that we're going to be doing, whatever. So you don't have to decide that tonight, but I'm just throwing that out there as something to think about.
Yeah, with regard to the action team meetings, reports, while they may be presented to the achievement committee, I think that having them also presented at a board meeting, because those are recorded and they're open to the community to be able to hear. And I think that's an important piece to get that information out there as well. It could be more in an abbreviated form at the board meeting so that we either can have each of the committees report or just maybe have two at a meeting or one at a board meeting. But I would like to have some of that at a board meeting. At least that's how I feel. So,
Well, Lucy, I'm glad you shared that. That is the format that I was used to in my previous district, because we had a lot more action teams, we had a lot more strategies, but we also didn't have committees. So that's how we kind of did it. I guess what I want to make sure is that given the limited time sometimes in our board meetings,
mhm.
I don't know, maybe it could be either or both. And maybe you all are just gonna have to guide us on that as we get into some of this work, because I totally agree. I wish more people would watch the recordings of these meetings too. I just know that many of them won't.
Or it could be at a work session because we do begin.
Right. That's true too.
I'm just putting that out for discussion for other people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on a lot of aspects. I do want to make sure that we're also not clogging out, a 3-hour student achievement meeting if there is that much to do. If we do need to separate out and it's in a different space, then we also need to look at that. On the Google Meet recording, speaking of meetings, are we putting that on the minutes? Because I just realized I don't see it on the minutes.
Putting it on the minutes that it's a Google Meet.
Yeah. Well, no, on the minutes, are we putting the recording to watch, or are we just leaving it as the minutes?
My understanding is that I thought these were out there for people to see, but maybe I'm mistaken about that.
I don't think they are. I think I asked for one at one point, the recording afterwards, because we hadn't had the minutes yet. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt us to just put it on the minutes.
Just like a
Sounds-
link to the video.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And maybe we move that into other spaces because it's easy to do. I mean, I know it's harder that we're streaming committee meetings that are in person because it involves having to have, Ken or Drew there.
Right.
But if we could just have this online, it probably would help a lot.
Okay. And then I guess just to round this out, not that you guys would know tonight, but if there are other items that you all want for either May or even getting into the fall, the more advanced notice you can give us, again, the more we can try to coordinate not just the presentation, but having all the people that we'd like to have there. Again, like if you guys recall, for those of you that are part of policy, I think you all are maybe, or most of you, like we had all the principals and Jen Keene and Kim at last week's policy because I had been able to tell them that weeks in advance. And I want to be able to do that for this committee too, as best I can.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And we want to make sure that we're supporting, all the staff and everything you guys have to come to present. So, we apologize for not giving you a lot of time, especially on this meeting. But at least a lot of the things that we did bring back for this meeting were from, piggyback on saying, hey, we're gonna go back and look at it from last meeting. So I don't think we're gonna be having some huge deep diving, especially with the EL program. And I know Cheryl has an update for the from Strong. So I think that meeting format wise, I agree. It's the amount of time that we can give. If something comes up last minute that we have to throw in to discuss, we'll just try to meet and find out the best way to work through that. So I think that's it. So it says other 2023 meetings. Doug B.
Yeah, that's what I was really speaking to when I talked about action teams and
Okay.
things like that, and anything else that the board would want us to speak to. And I think it'll even dovetail into the next topic when we get there.
Gotcha. Okay. That sounds good. If we're good there, we can move on to number 6 and see we're already halfway through. Isn't that great?
All right, let's keep going.
Measures of success. This was something you had asked for, Doug. Or
Yes. Okay. So if you guys recall, back in, I think it was October or November, I shared a draft at a regular board meeting of measures of success. This is something that I believe strongly that we need to have. Some people refer to it as a scorecard. I think measures of success sounds nicer than that. States will do this, and Connecticut tries to do this also for districts, but a local board or district's measures of success show things that we value that might go above and beyond those things. And the feedback I think we got out of the gate, if I recall, was that the format was a bit confusing, and maybe some of these things were maybe reaching too far, or might be costly in order to either collect the information or outsource or things like that. And so we kind of heard that information. And then if you recall, I know it was a long time ago, but in the run up to the January retreat, our team had kind of refined these and color coded them and tried to make them simpler. And I believe I went over them with you all in some setting. I can't promise you it was the retreat because we've met a lot over these last few months. But what I do recall from the retreat was the statement that it would be this committee that should probably work on these and make some kind of recommendation to the full board for approval. And then we would start reporting on these regularly. Again, either to Lucy's earlier point, either at full board meetings, which is what I'm used to, or if we wanted to do a deeper dive into any of these data sets, we would do that here. And I guess the other reason I feel pretty strongly about this is, we've had some board requests over the last few months for things like iReady and PSATs, and those things are fine, but I don't think they tell the whole story or even begin to tell the story, because those types of measures were not designed to really be used as accountability measures and measures of a district's relative success or areas that we need to improve upon. So we are not married to any of these being in there. It was really meant to be a starting point for a discussion. So I don't know if you want to talk about them tonight, or if you just want us to send them to you again. Again, you guys have them, but I don't know. We can also screen share them now, but given the length of our agenda, I guess we just like some direction on this, if you have it, or even some conversation around it, so that we don't keep bringing it back if you guys don't want us to. Or if you'd like it to look differently, we have some direction around that.
If you want to do a screen share and do an overview, and not do a deep dive today, I think would probably be the best.
Okay.
I don't know how everyone
Liza,
else feels.
do you want to take that on, or do you want me to do it?
I have them up. I can share.
Okay.
Okay, and then maybe send it out as well afterwards.
Sure.
Or-
Let me see. Present now. Okay. Everyone can see?
It's getting there. Yep.
Okay. So here we have just an outline of measures of success and why they are of importance. So measures of success are a set of quantitative and qualitative measurements that will allow us to gauge overall long-term performance. And they represent the progress towards a desired impact. I will send this out further, but it is moving beyond those traditional measures of success to make sure that we are being accountable for the whole child and their experience in our school district. There are other examples of measures of success that I put from different areas, such as at a hospital, you might measure the length of the stay, mortality rate, patient satisfaction, operation margin, nurse retention. Those are all measures that can talk about how successful that hospital is to its patients and its stakeholders. Then the other thing that I really would like to share would be a graphic that we have made. Excuse me, it is not coming up here. Excuse me. Here it is. I apologize. I have too many tabs open, too much I'm working on at the same time. Please
take
hold
your
one
time.
moment. I got it. A window. It is. I have to open. I'm sorry. I have to open it with Google Docs, and then it should be able to be shared. It's thinking. Okay. So the problem is that it is just a PDF, and when I open it with Google Docs, it is not working. So I will have to send that out to you unless somebody else has it downloaded.
Which one is it? Are you looking at the measurable outcomes?
The Lucid chart. Let me see here. Oh, let me see if I can share it this way.
Do the board members remember when I sent it to you the first time, did I email it or did I give you hard copies? Do you remember, like for the
I
retreat?
got it. Here we go. I downloaded it. It's good. You see it now? Okay.
Yep, there it is.
So here we have our measures of success. And these are different measures that we brainstormed that would be helpful in our analysis. We do have some of the assessments which have been previously mentioned, such as reading and math benchmark assessments, SBAC scores, NGSS, SAT. These are all on the state report card and accountability report, as well as high school. Then we have high school credits prior to grade 9, graduation rates, graduate life plan, and kindergarten readiness, and so on. These will be shared out with you. The things on the sides are the data collection that we thought would be a way to gather the data throughout. These are all different measures that we feel we could use to show the success within the district that are not just assessments, and that really give a whole picture to the success of a child within our school district. So that's just a brief overview. I know I didn't read out all of them, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to give a brief overview of them. Is there anything further you would like me to go to in this format so that you can have more information, or shall I just send them to you?
Liza,
I think
can I?
if we're looking at, I'm sorry, Doug.
I was just going to say quickly, the other thing I want to say, because you guys spent a lot of time on this, I don't know if you picked up on it or not, but the colors relate to the 4 domains: the academic, the employability, the wellness, and the citizenship. And some of those that have mixed colors, it's because, in our opinion, it meets more than one of those domains. And so that aligns back to those 4 domains on the first page of the strategic plan. And also,
sorry, Doug, just before, while you're going, because it's going to help, can you just, it's at 100%. Can you go outwards so we can see all of those? I had a hard time understanding what Doug was saying without seeing the top. Okay.
So here is the framework at the bottom.
And that's page 1 of the draft, correct? Okay.
Are these mostly the same measurable outcomes we were presented in November?
No, well, they're a bit changed. It seems like there's some added benchmarks and measures. I think we're adding.
There's
very
lots of
similar,
the
Amanda.
same.
Yeah,
Very similar. Okay.
they're very similar.
There were certain things where we had gone through and said that we wanted to see more testing. I do see more testing than in the last. I think it was called measurable outcomes. So I think we're just changing the wording's been changed to measures of success.
Yeah, Liza did some Google searches of other districts, and the ones we liked called the measures of success, and it's kind of a positive framing of it. I mean, some of it may say we're not being very successful in some of these areas, but that's still kind of, I think, a nice way to message on it.
Yeah, I think what's important on this one, and it's kind of keeping everybody in the loop on what you guys are researching and eventually presenting to the board. But when something changes, because I saw even on the agenda, I saw the measures of success, and I assumed it had to do with something like that. But if we're going to be changing like big things like competencies or measurable outcomes, we just need to reiterate that's what's changing in this, because I wasn't sure if this was something that was in conjunction with it or not. But
Well, what I also wanted to say is, the strategic plan is evolving, I'm sure at some point, well, what we would like to see would be an update of where it is now, what's been changed from what we originally had looked at and approved, because I know it has been evolving, and additional pieces have been added, like we can see right here on this particular page. So I think it would behoove us to have an updated copy of the strategic plan at some point.
Right, and just to be clear, you guys have had this document since January.
With
no,
this,
I know, but yeah, no, I know. What she's just saying is that we haven't had a time as a board to revisit the 2 pages plus anything that has morphed into it or changed. And
Okay, yeah.
because at some point we have to have some sort of framework on where the board has approved the strategic plan. And I want to make sure, we're really clear and we're all on the same page and we're working together, not, in different paths. So, as long as we make sure that even if that's a work session, we can throw that into a work session. But the communication would be greatly appreciated, I think, on all ends too. So.
Okay.
Oh, you took it away. It went away.
Do you want it back up there?
I will put it back up here.
No, I think my question, plus I have it right here, so I'm okay. But I think
Okay.
I just answered my own question in saying that, so I think we're okay.
I'll be happy to put it back up if you'd like.
And so we want to make sure we're going to add that to next meeting to do a deep dive after do you want to add it to the May meeting for the regular board so that we have some sort of context and come back for a deep dive, or would you rather do a deep dive with student achievement next and then the following month go to the board?
I think the latter is better only because what it looks like it's loading up for May for the regular board agenda is looking colossal,
Correct.
especially
Yeah.
with all those policies that have kind of backed up. And there's other things coming in May as well. Not the least of which is some of the stuff we're going to unpack at the building committee next week, and with
Right.
relation to, schools and configurations and all that. So, but however you guys want to do it, we can do it either way.
So we'll come back for a deep dive in May.
Yeah. I mean, again, we'll have the high school coming too, so that'll start filling up the student achievement docket for May. But
And I might just resend what we have. And if there's any changes from what we got in January, just to the board ahead of time, and maybe get some feedback that we could bring questions wise to student achievement. And
That'd be great.
It will help coming to the next meeting. And then so for June, we'd look at maybe updating the board on what currently is there and maybe a framework for approval or questions or changes or things like that, if that works.
Yep.
Awesome. Anything else on that? Are we pretty good?
Liza, anything? Nothing else for me. Okay.
Nope, nothing else for me. Just wanted to overview today so we could then get it on that agenda for a deeper dive. So that's what happened. All good. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we appreciate it. All right, number 7, Expedientiary Learning EL program. Oh, I said it right this time. I always say EL, and I was like, I'm going to attempt it. It's a hard word.
It is a hard word, but you did very well with that. So we have had a lot of things done since March. We feel we are in a good place. We have ordered the supplies. The supplies have come. So our teachers, hopefully, if they haven't received their books yet, they should receive them soon, because we had just had them here in boxes a couple of days ago. And April and Tara were doing a great job with making sure we got everything, organizing it by school, and then we were sending it off to the school. So we are in good shape with that. We are still doing an inventory of trade books that are going to be needed, so that we're making sure we are being very cautious with what we are purchasing and that we're only purchasing what is necessary at this point. We are purchasing the online component, which was a part of the plan, but we do not plan to purchase that until July 1st, because that's what the contract date will run, from July 1 to June 30th. So we did meet as a team. We met, I believe it was at the end of March, with the team leaders from K through 5. And we had a really good discussion, and we just kind of listened to them in terms of what, what they're hoping to see come the fall, as well as what they feel they would need in order to be supported with rolling out this program. Obviously, we had opinions all over the place, so we really did our best with listening to what everybody had to say and coming up with a decision that was best for everybody. And so we did create the plan. We sent out a document to all the teachers. I believe it was the first week of April, because we really wanted to get this information out before spring break. And so basically the goal is, on May 16th, we are having a professional learning opportunity from Better Lessons, which they are partnered with Open Up. They are the ones who provide the professional learning for that program. So on May 16th, basically it's going to be our K through 5 general education teachers, our special education teachers. We are including our paraprofessionals because we feel it's important for them to also get training on this program. Our interventionists, our speech and language pathologists, our administrators, our coaches. Everybody's going to be receiving this training. And we did have a coaches meeting last week where the 3 elementary instructional coaches did share with Liza and I that they have already started in their PLC time going over different components of this program, and they were really helpful in helping us to understand how much the teachers already know, so that we can share that with the Better Lessons individuals so that they can now personalize our professional development on May 16th based on the needs of our teachers. So it's really nice because that was one of the big reasons why we chose to go with Open Up, was because we knew that that professional development was really going to be personalized as we needed it. So that will be May 16th, and then throughout the rest of this school year, our coaches are going to continue during PLCs, part of their PLCs, because obviously they have other things that they also have to discuss, but part of their PLC is going to be to continue, just learning about this program, diving into the skills block, all block modules. And then as far as the rollout, based on the feedback and the conversations that we had with the team leaders, the plan is in the fall, the K through 2 are going to begin implementing the skills block, which is essentially taking over for the foundations. So it's going to really address the phonics instruction. They're going to begin implementing that in September. And then the plan is we would like for them to aim for doing at least 2 modules next year, but we are not having them jump into module 1 until October. We really wanted to give the teachers time to really, learn and experience that skills block before having to throw the modules at them. And that was something that was part of the feedback that was given to us. And then as far as grades 3 through 5, it's a little different. The all block, which is the additional language block, that does have to run in conjunction with the modules. It can't be isolated like the skills block in the modules. So 3 through 5 will be doing all block and modules. And again, our goal for next year is 2 modules. We really want to make sure that our teachers aren't overwhelmed. But obviously, one thing that we did talk about with the team leaders is if as a grade level, they feel like they're doing really well and they're ready to take on an additional module and they're ready to jump into module 3, then with the help of the coaches, we would support that. We just didn't want them to feel overwhelmed from the start. So it's really, a nice slow rollout that's going to give the learners what they need while helping the teachers to feel supported. And the other goal is for next year, when we do have professional learning in August, right from coming back from summer vacation, we do plan to offer some additional professional development at that time. And then PLCs will continue. Teachers will basically spend PLCs next year having conversations about what's working, what's still being a challenge, what other professional learning do they need moving forward, and just to really continue to be reflective and to let us know how we can continue to help them moving forward in that process. And then one additional thing I just wanted to mention is that with the teacher contracts being approved, and then the new calendar, and us having those flex option days at the end of next school year. And this kind of goes into professional learning update. I'll talk a little bit more to this later as well. But the plan, we want our teachers to know ahead of time that about that flex option for the end of next school year. Because we do know, and there's already been a lot of teachers who have asked us these questions, we do know that they're going to want to spend some time over the summer going into, the program, reviewing it, really preparing. Some teachers plan to work together to do that. So that is something that we want to make sure our teachers know, that we are aware that they are eager to spend their time outside of their contract to learn about this program, to really be ready to start implementing it in the fall. And we want to honor that. And we want to make sure that we are giving them, that time. So I'll speak more to that when we get to number 11, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Does anybody have any questions about it?
I have a few. I
Yes.
don't know if some will segue into others. So in looking through the program, and just thinking about structure of grade levels, what happens in grade 5? Because it seems like these blocks and modules are long, and I don't know if the English teachers are going to be able to handle that. Are we shifting how those teachers are going to be teaching in grade 5?
So I think that is going to be a conversation that Shauna, who's the instructional coach at Memorial right now, she plans to have that after May 16th, once everybody really has that professional learning and learns a little bit more about that. She then plans to sit down with that team specifically to figure out what the plan is going to be for them. And the other grade level I'm going to add on to that is also grade 3, because we are aware that grade 3 is in need of some more phonics instruction. And what happens when they go from grade 2 to grade 3 is they lose the skills block and they jump into the all block. But we understand that that skills block might still be a need for our grade 3 learners next year. So we are also going to be doing some benchmark testing at the beginning of, actually, we're going to be doing some at the end of this school year, to really see where our second graders are at in terms of their, understanding, and what we do need to do with them starting in the fall to make sure we're giving them the most appropriate instruction right from the start.
Okay. So we currently don't have a structure change in grade 5. We're just going to monitor in what they need and go from there.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and if I could speak to that, Lindsay, again, I don't want to speak for Noel, and certainly wouldn't, but we did have a retirement in that grade level. And I do think, given this program, they are taking a look at how they do things in 5th grade. And I can't predict that it will change at all or substantially, but I know that that is a conversation Noel is having with that 5th grade team right now, and thinking that if someone new is coming into that team for the retirement, that might be a good time to think, does that structure, to your first question, really support what we need to do, not just in literacy, but really in all the subjects?
Awesome. And then I didn't know if this was part of the implementation, but it could be a really good thing for the communication with the district, and it being a new program and people know what happened. But if we can brainstorm some ways, obviously it's not us, but if you guys could brainstorm some ways that the kids are knowing about it coming up for next year, that the parents know that this is happening. I get concerned about some parents not knowing, and then, stuff coming home. What is this new program? What are my kids doing? Even though we've been discussing it over and over again, we want to make sure we can get as much as our parents as possible to understand that this is coming, and it is a change, but it's a change that we that the kids need.
Of course. And one of the other good things, and we have had conversations about that as well, and making sure that we do put things on our websites, that the principals send things out on their updates, their weekly updates. But the other good thing is that the program does have so many different tools and resources for parents to access from home. And we also want to make sure that we show them those things. So we might be doing a little bit of a screen share, a recorded screen share to kind of show them like how to access the website, because they can access the website. The materials are there for them, some extra things that they can do with their child at home. But we, there has been discussion on doing like a screen share little video as well to kind of show them this is how you access the website. This is where you go. And then to kind of show them different things on that website that would be beneficial to them. But yes, that is definitely something we have talked about. It is important. We want to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going to happen moving forward. So thank you.
Yeah, I was psyched to hear that because I had looked online. I know we had gotten the online component, but I had seen that whole section on parenting. So I want to make sure of that. So I'm excited for that. So thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, no problem.
And then another question, I don't know if Mariah and I had a discussion about it, but we were wondering if, Maura has a question. Go ahead, Maura.
Oh, that's okay. I can wait.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Okay. I don't really have a question. I just have more of a concern. I know, like, obviously being part of the conversation from the beginning of even picking this program, and then talking about how implementation of it was of the biggest concern to me. I just have a concern as far as I think we're kind of setting it up with having the skills block and the 2-module expectation, that we're opening it up for these teachers. I mean, as a teacher, and realizing that these teachers have several other subjects throughout the day, every day, I would have rather have seen that we had the expectation similar to what Guilford did, and really taken this slowly for the teachers, like slow, so that these teachers were given an opportunity to really master each of these before they were expected to move on to the next. And I know I like the fact that they have the opportunity to move on to a third one. That to me is just, I'm nervous, because to me, what that screams to me is teams competing to get to that. And then with that comes this program losing its rigor, this program, the teachers not fully mastering and delving in. So, and again, I'm not speaking for all, but I am speaking for several, that it seems to me that we're jumping in really a little bit too deep than I thought we were going to at first.
And I appreciate your feedback, Maura, on that. I will say that based on the conversation we had with the teachers, with the team leaders, there was really, it was, I will say K through 2, it was kind of split. 3 through 5, they all agreed. They all said, we need something, we want something. And so that was kind of an easier discussion, I would say, because everybody kind of agreed that doing the all block and then focusing on 2 modules. And one thing I will say, and we did put it in the document that we sent out to the teachers, and the coaches had been making sure to have these conversations with the teachers, is that this program does have a suggested timeline, but we have been strongly emphasizing the word suggested, and saying this program says that this first module should take, I think the first one is about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks long. But we have continued to make sure to let the teachers know that this is year 1. That's a suggested timeline for if you're, 3 years, 4 years into the program. As far as our conversation with K2, we had a little bit of differences. We had, one team that felt that just doing the skills block in isolation was what they wanted to do for the entire year. We had another team that didn't want to do the skills block, but only wanted to focus on the modules for the first year. We had another team that wanted to do both the skills block and the modules. So when we really sat down and took all of that feedback, we did talk about, should we let teams do something differently? We felt that would be too challenging, not only because if you had a team of kindergarten teachers at, oh my goodness, why is it Brewster, and a team of teachers, kindergarten teachers at Lyman that wanted to do two different things. Now you have kids that are going into a different grade who might have had, modules, or who might not have had modules. So we kind of figured that having that consistency across grade level was really important. And then as far as listening to the teachers who just wanted to have skills block, we figured, well, let's start with the skills block in September. Let's give them that month, maybe even a month and a half. We'll kind of come back together at the end of September, early October, and reflect on where we're at and how we're doing, and see, are we ready to go into module 1 at this point, again, as a team. And then really starting to go into that first module once they're comfortable, but again, with the understanding that we don't want them to rush into it. We want them to, move at a pace that is comfortable for them, move at a pace that they feel is good for their kids at that time, and how they're performing and how they're doing. So it was something that it wasn't an easy decision, but it was really something that we took the feedback from what the team leaders had shared, and we tried to come up with what the best plan would be, based on all of that collective feedback together.
Thanks. And I appreciate that. I do believe that, just like we differentiate with children, that I like that you're giving the opportunity for differentiation. But what you said is exactly my concern, is that, again, I would just stress that I do believe that it should be the skills block, obviously, and then a module 1, just complete mastery for the first year across the grade levels, across the schools. Because what you're saying right now, especially because we have not gone any further with reconfiguring or with schools, we have 2 separate schools, by giving that opportunity, by saying, if you feel that you're ready to move on, then you may go ahead. You're going to now have some kids in first grade, depending on which school they go to, or some kids in second grade, or some kids in kindergarten, who may be getting different skills. So we've just set ourselves up to not be completely equal with the 2 schools. And I'm speaking just K through 2 right now.
No, we made it very clear to the teachers and to the instructional coaches that that we still wanted them, even though they're at different schools. The coaches are going to be communicating together, because we want to make sure that all of our kindergarten teachers are kind of covering the same content. We don't want one kindergarten teacher to go into doing 2-3 modules and then the other one to still be just in one. We really made sure that we communicated that we want to make sure that all kindergarten kids are getting, the same amount of content, instruction, skills block modules, whatever the case might be. So that those communications are going to happen to make sure that not one teacher in the same grade level is going to zoom ahead of the others.
Right, within the same school. But let's say kindergarten at Brewster decides they're ready for module 3, but kindergarten at Lyman isn't. What's going to happen with that?
That's where we're not. I mean, if that's the case, when we get to that point, that's when we're going to have conversations with the coaches, with the teachers, to figure out what we're going to do at that point. But that's what we don't want that to happen. We don't want one school to have something different than the other school. That was kind of the plan of, instead of letting all the teachers kind of decide to do whatever they wanted to do, we wanted to make sure that it was somewhat consistent from grade level to grade level, no matter what school you're at.
Okay. Yep. And I mean, I'm sure you guys have thought of everything. I just, again, I feel that if there's an opportunity for you guys to reconsider, I would really strongly suggest that you reconsider the rollout and just kind of reel it back in a little bit. I understand that you guys are ambitious to get this going. And I know, especially in certain grade levels, there's a need, because there's nothing or very limited of what's being done. I can say on the K through 2 level, it's definitely a resource that's going to be good. I wouldn't say that it's a dire need, because they have something that's working well also. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that this would be a good time to really take this more slower. And that's just my 2 cents about it. I do appreciate all the work you guys are putting into it and the time and getting collective ideas. But I do think that the expectation of the 2 modules is a lot.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your feedback. I will definitely take it to the team and we'll have some conversations about it.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie?
Hi, thank you. So, as with students of all ages, we all learn at different rates. And is it possible to identify a teacher within the building that really just gets it, thoroughly understands it, no matter what age they are? Probably the younger ones will, because of the technology aspect. But if they could be identified as, wow, you get it, you know how to negotiate it, you know how best to present it to the kids, get them to progress themselves. Can they perhaps be like a coach and, maybe a stipend to train others in a short way? It doesn't have to be a long, burdensome thing. The start of the school year, in my experience in my 5-6 short years in public education, it's overwhelming to most teachers. And, we don't want to pile on too much in the very beginning of the school year. There's always new things going on. Whoa, we got a million things to do, and we don't need too much more as we go on. But I would love to see somebody identified within each building that says, yeah, I get it. I'm happy. I'm a type A personality. I'd like to train other people, maybe a short meeting every week, whatever could be done, just to alleviate the fears of it. Because it is scary sometimes jumping into these new venues especially if you've been in a little bit of autopilot mode. But we do need to progress and get with the new world here. So I guess it is a good thing. I would just like to ask too, this is new to me and I don't talk about my kids, but I guess I'm going to right now. Is there a requirement of parents proctoring a course? I just found out, I just got some email that said, the Latin program, the parent needs to proctor the test or something. I don't know what this is all about. I didn't look at it, but I would trust that's not the case with with this program.
No, it is no.
Okay, my hand is up, so I put it back up again. So much I know. Like, I'm so used to Zoom. I get on Google Meet and I don't know what I'm doing. The one thing I couldn't really find on going through everything, and I want to make sure that we're looking at this angle too. How's the rollout for special ed going with this program? Is it going in the classrooms? Are they pulling? Is it like normal intervention, or is it different?
It all happens. I mean, the special ed teachers are still going to have to, work with their caseload as they're doing right now. But the goal is really to keep everybody in the classroom. And this is even something we're going to have conversations with the interventionists about, and how what they're doing might look a little different next year. But the goal is, and especially with the skills block, I would say, and the all block, but even with the modules as well, there is so much small group instruction going on, and those groups are created based on data from the previous week. So I know that we had spoken before about how there's kind of like a naturally embedded assessment. It's not like the kids have to stop and take a paper and pencil test, but it's more the teacher is assessing how the kids are doing in the moment. And then based on that assessment, the groups are formed for the following week. And so really, this program is really working towards personalizing the instruction based on where the learner is at in the moment. So one week, the learner might be, in one group, another week, they might be somewhere else. It just depends on how they're doing week by week. And so the goal really is to keep our kids in the classroom, to have more of that push-in. And again, you're going to still have our special ed teachers that are going to need to do their pull out based on, IEP hours and things like that. But even with multi-language learners, because we have a growing population of multi-language learners. It's really this program really is pushing for keeping kids in the classroom, working together, collaborating together, and providing that differentiation based on what their needs are in the moment.
Awesome. No, I think that definitely helps. And as long as we're, I can't imagine a program not having a good rollout for that, especially now and it being a more modern program. The only other question that I have, and I apologize for all the questions.
That's
Don't
okay.
take it anything other than like,
Nope.
I'm really excited for this program. So we're talking about grade 5 getting a taste of that this year.
Yes.
Okay. What happens going to Strong next year if they're getting a taste of it this year, and then next year we go back to Lucy Calkins and what they're learning currently?
So one thing that, again, I will speak to briefly now and plan to go more into for professional learning, but
Oh, sorry. I know you said that. Yeah.
No, you're fine. So May 16th, we are planning on doing literacy professional learning for almost all of the Strong staff, because we recognize that that is a need for a lot of our learners at Strong. And so one thing that we are really hoping that our teachers get from the PD on May 16th at Strong specifically is some strategies that they can either continue to use, because some teachers are already using these strategies in their classroom, or new strategies to help really build vocabulary, comprehension, just understanding of what they're reading, and, how to make inferences and how to connect what they're reading to, what they're doing. So we are really, I think at that level, the curriculum right now, it's not a need of an area of the curriculum needs to change. And that's something we may have to revisit after next year. We might have to look at, how did this program go, and our learner, does our program coming out of 5th grade align best with 6th grade, or do we need to revisit that? Right now, we don't feel that that's the case. Right now, we feel it's more that our teachers need the support and the training, because if you think about it, middle school, our language arts teachers are trained in how to teach reading, but only at a certain level. So the things that we're seeing right now, our teachers they need more support. They need more support. They need more training. Our math teachers need more understanding of how to, help with literacy in the classroom. Our social studies, science, it's kind of like an all hands on deck. So our focus really right now is how to best support and provide teachers with the appropriate training so that literacy is a focus across the board, so that we can continue to help our kids grow in those areas, no matter what class they're in.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie.
No problem.
I know Maura and Mariah are still on. Amanda, does anyone else have any other questions before we move on? Nope. Okay. Then I guess we'll move on. 8 Strong electives and tutorial update. I know that Cheryl couldn't be with us, but Doug had an update from Cheryl.
Yes. Did you all receive the Google Doc that I shared a few minutes before?
Yes.
No, I don't have a verbal report. We just have that written report. And what I thought we would do is, probably you haven't had a chance to read it yet, but the crux of it is there are specific things that are going to be offered that are not currently offered. And there's a description of each of those. And if you all had any specific questions now, or even after this meeting, after you've had a chance to review it, we would like to funnel those to Cheryl and get answers back to you. Or we could also bring her back at the May meeting. Now, I know we've already talked about high school and measures of success, and so I don't want to load up that agenda too much, but this is an important topic that we've kind of talked about a lot this spring through the budget process, and we want you all to be informed and make sure that you understand kind of the nuances of what is being planned. I don't know. I would say, as a general comment, it's very exciting for me to see that these things, which are not currently offered, are going to be offered, and that there will be more choices than we've historically offered over there, at least in my time here, and I believe the time shortly before I got here, or maybe for a long time. Some of you have a longer history with that school than I do.
I don't know, Doug, if you're all right, if I do you want me to read it quickly, or do you want me to just read the sections?
Well, that's up to you guys. Again, I didn't know what your intent was today. I wanted you to have it, and I wish I had sent it before 2 minutes before the meeting. I apologize. It's been a long day.
I think us asking, I think we have to digest some stuff, and if there's any questions, we can bring back. But
Yeah.
it would be nice to have it in there, so it could be in the minutes. It's always good to do that.
Oh, so do you want me to read it just so it's on the recording, or?
You can, or I can. I don't mind reading it.
Well, you're a good reader. Go ahead.
Do we want to share it? And that way, it's on the recording itself. We can just leave it. That's fine.
Could I just also just have, could we acknowledge it, and could we just have the person that does the meeting minutes just copy and paste it into our minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I have no
That's what
problem
I'm-
with
We
that.
can read out the different courses. You
Yeah,
know,
I would
and-
like to read. I would like to read just the different.
Oh, the names of the courses? Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So this past Monday, students chose their music electives, and sixth grade chose their world language for next year. In the upcoming weeks, students will have the opportunity to choose the electives below or a study hall. Electives in study hall run for a quarter. Art would be campus beautification. It would be an introduction to campus beautification, fun and educational program, teaching the students the importance of taking care of their school's environment. And health course title would be Food is Fuel, a nutritional cooking course for young chefs, or nutritional cooking if the title changes, and it would be a welcome to nutritional cooking designed for the middle school level. Physical education would be PE, fitness, and skills, and be an enrichment class where students will choose the activities they'd like to perform in class. Activities can focus on team and backyard games, and could incorporate Strong Schools campus in Allenbrook, and even Coggin-Chog sports fields. Under TI, do-it-yourself carpentry and construction, or maybe even Hammer Time, the ultimate carpentry workshop. I like that. Sounds a lot like Tina's had her hands in that, and that's get ready to hammer, saw, and build in the construction and carpentry class, and you'll learn basics of woodworking while creating cool projects that you design for Strong Middle School, maybe benches for outside garden beds, or maybe something you might think would be a great addition to a classroom. Under enrichment, Maker's Madness. Do you like to create, solve problems, and make things better? Students have an opportunity to engage in designing hands-on creative projects using a variety of tools and materials in the maker space. And Lights, Camera, Action, Breaking News, a new elective where students will step into the shoes of a reporter as they investigate and report on stories going on in our schools and town communities. Students will be introduced to interviewing, reporting, writing, editing, videography, broadcast, photography, and design. And yeah, that's the last one. So we can obviously, for anyone listening, even on the recording, there's a lot more that goes into this document. So we'll make sure that gets into the minutes. And I'm really excited. I think that this is a great step forward for enrichment at the middle school level. And I'm proud of everyone who came forward to work on those electives. So.
Right, and I just really love the fact that each one of them is hands-on. It's all hands-on, a lot of creativity, that none of them are specifically, structured. So I think it's going to be really exciting. I like them.
I think the diversity too, there's something there for every kid. You might not look at somebody and say, oh no, hell no, I'm not doing any lights, camera, action. But there's also behind the scenes work too. So that works for a lot of kids. At some point, I'd love to see the cooking facility. I've been doing this for a long time, and I can certainly advise perhaps some tools that we need to get and formulas that we can use. Because, if you're going to get 24 kids in a shot, it's not easy. It's one of the most difficult things you can imagine, and not create a super colossal mess to clean up afterwards. So we don't need it to be a burden.
Spoken from experience.
I will add this to the list of things that we'll come back to for the May meeting, if that works. And then if we could send this to the board ahead of time in case there's any questions they want to bring to student achievement on this one. That's pretty exciting.
It is.
Okay, number 9, student-centered learning practices fall 2023-24. This is a topic that Lucy and I had asked for, so we were, and I hope we have the information, and maybe we should have gone back and forth and talked about it a bit, but we were just looking for any practices that would be coming on a district level for that student-centered learning next year.
Coming in and also are happening as well and maybe being expanded upon.
So with that, and again, we just got this a couple days ago. Do you want us to start bringing these back into future meetings? I mean, what's very interesting is that we've already talked about 2 of them in the last 2 items.
I was just going to say that. I was going to wait for you to say something, but we are bringing those things out, and I think
And again, I think it speaks to even, there are certainly more things, especially those that have been plugged into the competency-based work and some of that we would love to see happen sooner versus later. But, kind of to Maura's point and some of Stephanie's points, like how much more can we throw at the K-5 teachers right now next year and not just have them, tap out and say this is too much. But I mean, the flip side of that is when the team got together and was evaluating these programs, I don't want to rehash what Stephanie and others said in meetings past, but one of the things that distinguished this EL program was its ability to personalize, which is exactly what we talk about in the learner-centered or student-centered, if you prefer that term. And that's a lot. And that's not going to come natural to every teacher. And so it's going to require not just the front-end professional learning, but to Stephanie's point and to others that y'all made, like the support, the embedded support. So when I'm trying something, it's not I do it well or I do it poorly, but maybe I could have some help doing it better. And even to Jamie's point about the exemplars or the front runners or the people who are there. And so certainly that's not the limitation, but we want to be very careful when we talk about district level things. The other part about this that may be tough to get your brain around, I know it was for me when I first started in this work, is part of what we're doing with this transformation is we are giving more freedom for our teachers to take risks and try new things, whether you realize it or not. And this was true in other districts too. It's not just here, but we have a culture right now amongst many of our teachers that are afraid to do anything that goes like outside the lines of the curriculum pacing guide and things of that nature. And as a result, they're afraid to try some things, and they're waiting for someone to tell them that they can. Now, I met with all of them, as you guys know, in the late fall, and Stephanie and Liza did too, following, and we're messaging to them that they already have the permission to do that, communicate to your principal. But they've been conditioned for a lot of years right now to do things exactly a certain way. In fact, at the elementary level, and especially at the primary grades, a lot of it's been scripted of time, scripted on date, and all of those things. So it's going to take a little while to get people out of these mindsets. That being said, we do have some things going on that we think you'd like to hear about, and we'd like to kind of prepare and unpack those either in May. Again, here we keep adding to the May agenda, or at least into the fall, so that you guys know about them. But let me say this too, just so we're clear on this. It is an iterative design process, and part of it is getting the teachers to buy in and feel like it was partly their idea. So we can't be running out and saying, now next fall, every 7th grade teacher is going to do X, and this is going to make it learner-centered or student-centered. That will not work. That will be a recipe for disaster. And even back to Maura's point about maybe the rollout is a little too aggressive or too fast in the EL. Part of what our team is going to do is to monitor that rollout. I don't want to speak for Stephanie or anybody else involved. And if we're getting the feedback that it is too fast, to even adjust those planned timelines. And so we're going to shy away from saying all of this is going to happen exactly that way. Although, teaser, I think Deb and company will come in and at least give you an update about a lot of exciting things that are planned for the high school in that space as well. And the thought is that they'll start and they will grow throughout the school year and into future school years. So I don't know, Stephanie, Liza, do you guys want to add anything to that?
I will add, I will say about, teacher buy-in, and I will say from my previous experience of becoming a teacher who totally went non-traditional, flipped my entire classroom and 100% changed what I was doing in my classroom. I did so much to try to encourage others to also take that jump. And it is a very, scary jump to take. And I think we talked about this at last meeting, but one thing that is just the elephant in the room that is hard to get away from because it has been just the norm for so long is that the strong focus on test scores, on grades. And it's not just it's not just our teachers that we really need to help change the mindset. It's our parents and our students as well. We really have to work on changing these mindsets before we can say, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. Because if we're telling people that we are going to change and we're going to do this, think about how that's going to roll out. One thing that I will say that our coach, Tara, has been working really hard on, and I will say from September, thinking about where we are now, there has been so much more just inspiration and so many more teachers coming to us and saying, I want to try this. Where can I get the support? So what we did back in November when we started having our conversations with all of the teachers is we started really listening to, reading the room and really figuring out who was ready to start making some changes, some shifts in what they were doing in their classroom. And Tara stepped in to help support those teachers. And today she's working with like a dozen teachers across the district on really helping them to identify one area in their classroom, because we don't want it to be too much, but identify one area where they want to start making that shift and making those changes. And Tara is really stepping in and helping to bring some research to them, to work with them on kind of designing some lessons, and then to be with them for implementation to help with that coaching aspect. So we are getting more teachers who are really, ready to make some changes, but that's kind of that's kind of where we are, struggling right now, is really helping the teachers to know, like, it's okay to make these changes. It's okay to walk away from needing to feel like you have to lecture to your students the whole time. And instead you can really start putting them into smaller groups, and you could really start doing more hands-on things. And we've had some teachers come to us who have started to already reach out to other teachers in other content areas to start designing lessons with one another, so that our kids can make those connections and can see how what they're learning in social studies might be linked to what they're learning in music class. So it is happening. And again, thinking about where we were in September to where we are now, we do have so many more teachers that are bringing more of a learner-centered approach into their classroom. And we are going to continue to work on motivating and inspiring. And, we have had conversations on how do we get teachers into other teachers' classrooms to be able to kind of see what's going on, and, to just get that inspiration and that help. And thinking, Jamie, about what you said about the EL, and if we have a teacher that's really strong and, willing to do some kind of professional learning, we think about that too as, would you be willing to have somebody come into your classroom and take a look at what you're doing in your classroom so that we can help to inspire others? So it is definitely something that we have been working on, and we are going to continue working on.
And then just as a quick add-on, I don't want to steal any thunder from May's agenda, but as I think Doug said, there's a lot of things that are planned for the high school that are a little more program concrete. I don't know if you want me to mention the names now, or if we could wait till May so that Deb and Katie can go over those. That would be.
Well, I guess I'd prefer to wait, not just in the interest of time, but to let them.
Yeah.
Just like Cheryl's not here today and we're deferring on her, but that's
it's like a month of curiosity too. So, if we could, it's exciting stuff, but I think I'd rather wait on that too, if we're okay with that. Maura, do you have a question?
Nope. I just wanted to say I 100% agree with you, Stephanie. That and to hear that that's the opportunity and the direction that it's headed for the teachers, I think is wonderful. I think that's what most teachers, especially teachers with experience, really want. But again, my just concern is just, you know, all that said, I feel that, you know, if we are if the expectation or the demand would be for the module 1, then we're giving the teachers a chance to move on to the next module, which would be module 2, which is still giving teachers the differentiation and the chance to move on if they want to. So again, I just wanted to clarify, it's not that the opportunity or the chance for teachers to be able to move on if they're feeling comfortable. It's just more of what I think we as a district is using or choosing to pick as what we're mandating for the initial rollout. That is more of my question.
Jamie?
All right. So earlier, whenever I hear the word like covering content, and we have to have pacing guides, there's got to be some structure and at least some parameters. But whenever I was glued to pacing guides and covering content, that's generally been my worst times teaching. When it just becomes you're glued to that, got to do it, got to get through the content, got to cover the material. All that tells me is it's about the teacher. It's teacher centered. I'm in front of you. I'm the boss. And that's totally the old way of doing things. And anytime that we can kind of give a little bit of encouragement to teachers and say, okay, it's okay. Have a little flexibility. Do something different that works. Create the relationships with the students. Then go from there, and suddenly things will start to fall into place. And once I realized that, I don't know if I've ever flipped a classroom as you described, but if I was a little bit more free, it always went better indeed. So anything we can do to encourage that, or at least give inspiration to people to say, try it, see what works for you. I trust all of us are reflective types. Just, every day think about what worked and what didn't, and make notes of it, and, tweak it as you need to go. So.
Okay. If that's all you have on that one, just an interest because we're coming up on 6 o'clock. Summer school programming update. I had asked for this one because we had talked about last month if there was an update on any programming that was beyond special education for these kids that we're looking at are really far behind, or even just wanting to get engaged in projects. So I didn't know if we had made any headway there. If not, we can always put it on next month as well.
I think Liza's got an
Nope.
update on that.
I can do a quick update, and if you want more information, I'd be happy to go further into the information. Our summer programs are set to run July 5th to July 27th. The ESY program is the special education program, which will run at the same time as other summer programs, general education programs. The intervention summer school, which we're calling Summer Academy, that is for those that are currently receiving Tier 3 instruction. Tier 3 intervention in math and or literacy. We are going to invite 65 students from grades in current grades K through 4, and depending on enrollment, we may also add an invitation to current 5th graders, and that all depends on numbers of enrollment. We plan to have also a kindergarten academy. The kindergarten academy will be for those that will be incoming kindergarten students. They will attend a 1-week session. These are Monday through Thursday, and they will have an opportunity to be in the classroom, learn some how to be in the classroom skills prior to starting kindergarten. It can also be used to make sure that those learners are ready for kindergarten, and if not, to give any help as needed to prepare for the fall. I completed a state grant in the beginning of April. That state grant is for enrichment, possible summer enrichment. We will find out if we got the grant May 1st. We don't always have the best of luck with state grants, but I am hopeful that something will come through. If we do get the funds for that, we are hoping to run some enrichment camp opportunities at the same time. Those can be such things as science exploration, nature exploration, some art offerings, some world music offerings, some technology offerings. We don't have specific titles yet because I'm not able to hire staff until I know I have the funds to do so. But that is in the works, that we are, if we get those funds, we are ready to start right away with planning that enrichment opportunity for the summer. Yes.
Stephanie?
I just don't know where this fits, so I'm going to throw it out there now. Two things. So first of all, if we are not able to get the grant, and I know this has been a question because, we do have a lot going on for our K through 4, possibly 5 students, but we really don't have too much right now for our middle school and high school. So one thing that we do have available to us for free of cost for at least for the next year, they're looking to expand it, is a program called Defined Learning. It is pretty self-paced. It's kind of, and this is another thing that towards the summer, we do plan to do like a Screencastify type of how to access it, how to navigate it, things like that, so that parents have access to it, the kids have access to it. But basically, it is a platform that provides project-based learning opportunities as well as career exploration activities it's meant for all ages, but again, something that if, our middle school and high school kids wanted to continue to do something or just to get some inspiration, this is a free platform that is offered to all of the schools in Connecticut at free of cost. And then the other thing, again, it's not really a summer school, but it kind of goes along with kindergarten, and I don't know where else to put it on this list. So the Early Childhood Committee, which is the Durham Youth and Family Services, we are a part of this committee. A couple of the daycares in the area are a part of it. We have been meeting all year round, and there is going to be a kindergarten kickoff on May 19th. I do know that leading up to that, they are having 4 different sessions where Kristen Allen is going to run a session on literacy. There's going to be a session on social and emotional wellness. There's going to be one on prevention. Can't remember what the 4th one is right now, but those offerings are all going to be virtual. And the audience is for parents of incoming kindergarteners. And it's just to kind of help to prepare the parents on expectations and just what kindergarten looks like and how they can help to prepare their child for kindergarten. And then on May 19th, there's going to be a bigger, I don't know if it's like a picnic or what type. It's pretty much just a gathering where they're going to have some snacks and things like that. And they're just going to welcome the incoming kindergartners and their families to just mingle and get to know one another. There's going to be some different booths there. Again, Durham Youth and Family Services is going to be there. We are looking at having somebody there to represent RSD 13. And then a couple of other libraries, local libraries and things are going to be there just to really, bring people together, help prepare our kids a little bit more, help prepare the parents. This information was just given to me today. I did share it with the elementary principals, so they are hopefully going to put that in their weekly update. I don't know if it's going to be this week or closer to the day of. And I do know that the libraries, the daycares, Durham Youth and Family Services, they're all going to be promoting this this day. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and I think on that one, I had some questions because I was going to ask Doug actually, because Durham Youth and Family Services actually already is promoting it online.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
it's which is good, but it's also I wish we had kind of gotten that out through the district before
So-
DMYFS had posted it.
I just got it today. because they are the ones who lead that group. So I literally, like, the email with that information just came to me today, which is why we haven't really done much with it yet. So I apologize for that.
No, I just think good communication, especially when we're talking about nonprofits.
Yes.
Letting them know timelines and why we do things in certain spaces, because it does say RSD 13 right on the flyer. And we're looking at district employees too. I'd like to look into too, if we're talking about like community connections and connections with these kids, like looking at both rec departments for both Durham and Middlefield. There's 10 committee members, I think, on one, on another, and if more people can get in those type of spaces with community connections, I think it's going to be important.
Absolutely.
Lucy.
I was wondering, with the state grant that you've applied for, what grade levels, if it comes through, what grade levels would that be for, that programming?
Since it's a 2-year grant, since this year I knew we would not find out till May 1st, and we need facilities. I did put that it was grades 3 through 5. Because we can also have that space at Brewster where we are currently planning on having our summer programs. I'm not sure that facility-wise and planning-wise, we would want to open another facility, just finding out about that in May. However, for the expansion in the following year, we can add to that. I added this first year, for the second year, I added a lot more funds to it so that we can expand. It's actually called the expansion grant. So
that enrichment grants, that does not include the middle school level. So we're looking at only the defined learning platform for 6 through 8.
For this coming summer, yes. For the following summer, we can look to use those grant funds at another level with an amended grant, which is usually fine to do.
Yeah, because that's the hard part, and I think I said it at last. If I didn't say it last meeting, I was thinking it. But looking at the 6 through 8 level, they think they're older than they are. They think they're more independent. They're starting to get to an age, especially the 7th and 8th graders, where there aren't really camps that are readily available at that age. If not, they're the top level, like ages till 12. Most of them go 6 to 12. So it stinks. I know you guys are doing the best you can to look for places, and the grants will be hopefully great if we can get them. I think next, if we could get some more information on that defined learning platform, and the sooner we can do that and get those out to that age level, I think would be important, as they talk about summer and what their plans are for the summer. So I don't want a lot of these kids, even K through 8 or K through 12, missing out because they've already chosen to do something, or because there's nothing to do, they're going away to an aunt and uncle's for the summer. But I appreciate it, because I know we just asked you guys about a lot of this. So Amanda.
I just had a follow-up question on the virtual parent night series. Did they reach out to the district prior to starting to advertise for this and ask that we wanted to do this in conjunction with them? Because it says that they're featuring local experts from RSD 13. They started advertising this yesterday, but we just found out today.
So myself and Kristen Allen are on the early childhood committee, and we've been talking about doing these series. I did not go to the meeting in March. Kristen Allen went to the meeting in March where they kind of finalized some of these things. And then we didn't talk about it at our meeting that we had a meeting on April 20th. We didn't talk about it then because I actually had presented on Reimagining Light, which is another thing I'll, talk about at the number 11 piece. So all of the information, the final information, all of the links, everything was just given to us. So we are not leading that group. We are just a part of that group. And they are the ones who are kind of putting together all of the forms, all of the resources, and then they're sharing them with us. So these are just, it's kind of, we've had this collaboration. We've been, talking about different ideas and throwing different ideas out there, but they didn't want to finalize anything because they were still trying to make sure that people that were offering to present these sessions were able to present them. And then they were trying to come up with a schedule. So it was kind of, it was a thought, it was all up in the air, and then they kind of finalized the schedule, brought it forward, and then they shared all the final information with us.
Okay. If no one has any other questions, we will move on to our last one, professional learning. And I know that's something you guys asked for, and Stephanie's already said a few things a few times. So.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if I repeat myself. So we did have our professional learning flex day on March 10th, which was very successful. And we haven't surveyed all of the staff yet. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But the feedback that we did get from those that have come in and have conversations with us were very appreciative that we were honoring the time that they were spending outside of their contractual school day to do some professional learning that was personalized and relevant to what they wanted and needed to do. Outside of that, we do have a Google Classroom that we continue to build with resources for teachers. We're just kind of gathering some resources based on, the strategic plan, based on the needs of the teachers and things that we have heard that they would like to have more research on. It's a variety. There's podcasts, there's webinars, there's journal articles, there's blogs. And we organize them based on topic, and we continue to add on and build on to that, with just new updated resources based on what the teachers need. Another idea that Tara, Liza, and myself had thought about and are hoping to start soon is to hold a podcast, because one thing that we were really thinking about is how can we get creative with professional learning, knowing that time is always of the essence, and also knowing that we have so many wonderful things going on right here in RSD 13. And also thinking about the fact that not only do we have experts right here, but also they're working with our kids. And so we have thought about, we sent out a survey, or we have a Google form on our Google Classroom to ask staff, who do you want to hear from? Who do you feel you could really benefit from listening to? I know that, multi-language learner is one topic that came up. Social and emotional learning is another topic that's come up. People have been nominating others that they feel would be good at doing these podcasts. And then once we do start this and we know who we're going to be interviewing in district and whether they're okay with it or not, because we don't want to force them to do it, we plan to send out questions to the teacher. So let's say, next week we're doing something on multi-language learners and Katie Reddick's going to be interviewed. We might send out an interview or a Google form to the staff and say, what do you want to hear more about? And that's going to kind of how we begin to generate our questions. And then the goal is to do an interview and post it as a podcast. And one of the reasons why we decided on a podcast is because when teachers were filling out forms to let us know what kind of professional learning they have been doing this year, many of them listen to podcasts, a lot of them. And it's just, you think about, you're driving to work, you're driving home to work. It's a good time to listen to a podcast. So we are trying to highlight some of the work that's happening here and some of the experts that we have right here and the teachers that work with our kids. May 16th is an upcoming professional learning day. I know I spoke about this a little bit, but our elementary teachers will be receiving professional learning on the EL literacy program. Our strong staff, some of them will be doing professional learning on co-teaching, and then the majority of them will be receiving some professional learning on literacy strategies. And then our staff at the high school are going to be participating in the senior capstone that day. We do have a professional learning action team, and it's going to meet on May 15th. That's the tentative date right now. And the goal for our meeting there is to really figure out how to best gain feedback from the staff on how they felt about professional learning this year. What were some of the strengths and what are some areas of improvement, and what they would like to see happening moving forward, so that we can start to utilize that feedback to move forward with professional learning next year. And then we also plan to set our professional learning expectations for the June flex option. So again, based on the teacher contract that was passed and also the calendar, we have those last 2 days in June next year that we are planning on running as those professional learning flex options. So we, as a professional learning action team, will kind of sit to finalize what those are. We want to get that out to our teachers before they leave for summer vacation so that they know, if they are going to do some professional learning over the summer, how to document it, and things like that. And then the last thing I did want to mention quickly, that does go along with professional learning is, if you're not aware, the state of Connecticut did come out with new teacher evaluation guidelines, or they're supposed to be approving them soon. Hopefully, they are supposed to approve them in late April, early May. And they are allowing districts to be more flexible in the 2023-2024 school year with evaluations, while districts are planning for new evaluation based on the guidelines that come out. So our PDEC is going to meet once the guidelines are out and approved. My hope is that they will be out soon so that we can begin discussions on what our focus is going to be for the next school year, and then, how we're going to plan for those new guidelines coming up. So that's all I have for professional learning.
That's a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you, Stephanie. Does anyone have any questions in regards to professional learning? Going. Okay, I guess not. And I think we did pretty good on time tonight. Thank you guys all for coming tonight. There's a lot here, a lot to unpack, next meeting. But the communication, I think, is really great. And I think we're making some really great strides in student achievement, and we'll continue to move in that direction.
Yep.
On that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
Lucy and Jamie. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Awesome. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you for
Get
everything.
out. Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Lindsay,
Great night.
Lindsay.
Bye.
Oh, we lost Jamie. You're on mute, Jamie.
Oh, sorry. Have you noticed the blue signs? I've noticed some in Middlefield, but many more in Durham. Is somebody buying these? Oh, did she go? Oh, well, we got kicked off. Well, people are saying support the budget, basically. See you, Doug.